Hello guys, I am back from another video and today we're talking about what if Belle was from Terraria. So in the last video we talked about how, after arriving back at, arriving back to, to the, I guess you can say surface, they would finally meet up with, Vita and also Hestia. And after celebrating, about how, they got a new member, they would basically start going on missions, and Belle would realize that, she's the triad from the actual game Terraria, and apparently she has similar powers just like in the game, where she's able to command nature to basically fight her enemies. And she seems to have a grass cutter blade, or at least I think it was called the grass cutter blade. I think it was grass cutter, or yeah, that's not grass cutter, that's a blade of grass. Yeah, it's called the blade of grass. So after a while of basically, or at least like a few months of basically, going out with her, all of them would decide to go to the Hostess of Fertility, but while they were there, they would encounter a bit of assholes, aka members of the, members of the Apollo Familia, and one of them, being the short stack over there, says that he's better than everybody here, including, the so-called, the prince. I'm just gonna be, I can't remember his actual title back a few episodes ago, so I'm just gonna be calling him like, the prince of, the prince of Arario or something like that, and basically telling him that he's useless and saying that he's better than them, and even saying that their familia is much stronger, and even so did Hestia, and let's just say, oh boy, he was dead. So he would basically start, taking off his necklace and causing Conqueror's hockey bullshit, causing everybody to fall down except for Hiya Bitches over there. Hiya Bitches was able to, just like stay up, sort of. He's still pretty much struggling, feeling like he's about to die, as he would basically look up and see Belle just glaring at the boy, and basically started beating him down. And let's just say the boy was not really, having all of that, and so would basically leave with, the rest of his, familia members. After doing that, and after, sending a little, message to, Apollo himself, let's just say, Apollo would be pissed off about, all of them, and let's just say, oh boy, he was not really happy, saying that there were idiots trying to challenge, Belle Cornell, and saying that they should try and next time not make him mad. And so he would decide to make a party to maybe apologize and maybe even have, I guess you could say, sort of a rating game. Yeah, you can't tell me otherwise. They the whole, game thing is sort of reminds me of, a rating game from, High School DxD, which, by the way, I'm really happy for you guys from picking, the all four cognate, the all four cognate ghoul form for Belle. I meant Belle, not Belle, I meant Izuku. I mean, I definitely wanted to have, the 10 Espadas powers for, Izuku's ability, but I guess I could, go for, the ghoul instead, because, let's just say, the ghoul, the ghoul abilities is not going to be a sacred gear. In fact, I'm going to be giving him a sacred gear, which, I'm going to give you a hint. Let's just say, it's a famous serial killer from London. If you guess right, then, comment down below, and I'll give you whatever you want or something. I don't know, maybe, give you a digital cookie or something. Anyway, so continuing the, explanation. So, after a while of basically, let's just say not really punishing, but more like, telling him to just next time try not to fight Belle Cornell, he would decide to make a party so they can, apologize to them, and even plan on challenging them to wait for a second, even challenging them to a war game. So, after being informed by one of the members of the, Apollo Familia, and this party was a party for every single Familia, as a little celebration. So, as they arrived there, Belle would see, his beloved, Hephaestus, as Hephaestus and him would basically start, flirting once again, and basically, acting like a couple. So, After arriving at the party and having a bit of fun, Apollo would basically arrive and would basically say that he's pretty happy that every single, familia and also gods and goddesses were also there, and would also introduce himself to, Belle. As Belle was a bit suspicious, as he would basically explain that he wants him to, say sorry. Not really him, but wanted to say sorry to, Belle. As after apologizing to him, he would also say that he also wants to have a fight, more specifically, a war game. As after Belle hears this, Hestia would basically gladly do it, including Belle. As, he was pretty happy about it. Mostly because he's planning on winning. But unfortunately, it's not gonna happen. So, after, that, all of them would basically start to leave, including, Aphysis, and so, we basically ended off the episode like that. So yeah, that's basically what happened last episode. And so, let's talk about what happens next. So, as Belle and also, Lily and, Vita are basically trading, they've been training for, a while. As Belle is basically, training both of them in how to use their, their brand new skills, like, for example, Lily with her, her pwn hammer, which, by the way, oh boy, ever since the training, you know, how I said that she's basically is able to basically create, smashes that are about the size of Madara's meteor strikes? Well, now, they're about the same power as, how Saitama basically created an entire, brand new valley. Yeah, that's basically how she's that strong now. Thanks to all of the training that Belle did, she's now able to basically, create a large, blast that can literally level mountains and create a large mountain range. Yeah, that doesn't sound terrifying at all. And as for, Vita's is able to, use her grass blade more effectively, and even created a brand new technique which allows her to, essentially, make a large wooden Buddha. Yeah, I'm taking a lot of inspiration from Naruto. God damn it. Anyway, so, after a while of trading, they would basically hear that Hestia wants to talk to them. As Hestia would basically, arrive, or at least not really arrive, but more like, bring them to, their meeting place, which is, I guess you can say the dining room table, as Hestia would say this. So guys, I think it's better for all of you to, at least rest. I mean, the battle is a bit, the whole, war game is a bit, concerning because, you're basically just 3 people, but still, you're pretty strong, and I don't want you to get, overworked because of me. As Belle would say this, don't worry, you're fine, and, by the way, as Belle would say this, Lily, I'm gonna be making a little item for you, and, just wait for a bit, okay? As she would say, sure, Belle. So, as Belle would basically leave, he would basically go into his little room, as she would say, specifically, Hestia, Belle, you should probably get some rest. But, unfortunately, Belle doesn't hear her. Currently with Belle. Belle is currently, grabbing a few items. In this case, a Ranger emblem, a Sorcerer emblem, and finally, a Summoner's emblem. As he would say this, I think those are the right items. Or at least I think so. As Belle would basically look over, as you would see, yeah, pretty much the right items. As you would say, now, let's make this. So, after, slapping his hands together, or at least clapping, he would basically put all of the items, including, Lily's, warrior emblem, in the portal, as it would spit out something. A emblem that seems to be a red, cross, not really cross, but more like a red X, as it would say in the description, a item known as the Avenger emblem. Yeah, actually, let me just check if the actual recipe is that. Nope, I was wrong. So, apparently, you need to get, just one specific, one specific emblem, like, for example, the warrior emblem, and mix it with, different types of souls, like souls of might, souls of sight, things of that sort. So yeah, I'm gonna retcon it, saying that, just imagine, Bells, grabs like, different types of souls, like for example, souls of night, souls of fright, blah blah blah, and he would basically create the not warrior, I meant Avengers emblem. So, after doing that, Bell would say this. So, finally made it. As you would basically start to look at it, seeing that it's gleaming in the light, as you would say, huh, she's certainly going to become stronger thanks to this. As Belle would basically smile. As Belle would basically start to leave, going into, the dining room, as you would see, all of them basically just sitting, as Belle would say this. Hey Lily. As Lily would say this. Oh, what is it, Belle? As Belle would say this. Oh, got you something. As he would basically, builds up a, Avengers emblem. Or at least the Avengers emblem that, Belle made. As she would say, what is that? As Belle would say this. Well, this is called an Avengers emblem. It's basically like an upgraded version of your Warriors emblem. As she would say, oh, cool, so that means... As Belle would say this. Yep, it can basically increase your attack. As she would say, then how much? As you'd say, well, judging by your abilities now, because, you are able now to basically destroy entire mountains and create mountain ranges, well, I'm kind of afraid how much strength you have now. Or at least how much power can you destroy, or anything of that sort. As she would say, yeah, I can definitely see why. She would basically start to scratch the back of her, head, as Vita would say this. Yeah, it seems so. But either way, hey Belle, as Belle would say this, yeah, Vita? Ash would say, I should be going somewhere immediately. And Remy to take a bath. As Belle would say this, oh, sure, Vita. As Vita would start to leave. So, as Vita left, both, Belle, I meant Belle, Lily, and also Hestia would be there. As Hestia would say this, so, Belle, I wanted to ask you, as Belle would say this, what is it? As she would say, well, your whole relationship with, Physis. Apparently, there's been rumors about you being together with her, and some of those rumors are mostly about, your relationship with her, but mostly about me. Some people were saying about me just, letting them have a bit of fun, or even forcing, how do I say this? She would basically say, Asbel would say this, what? Ash would say, well, you see, people said that maybe you and I, kind of forced her to do this. Asbel would say this. Who started these rumors exactly? Ash would say, it's the captain of the, Apollo Familia, Hyacinthus. Asbel would say this. I see. Asbel would basically clench his fist. As you would say, I hope the war game would start soon enough. As you would basically say, I want to see him suffer. As you would basically start to clench his fist even more. As you would say, I'm going to castrate him. As after hearing this, both Hestia and also, Lily were kind of afraid. Seeing the fear in her like both of them are basically like crying at this point, seeing Belle change into this personality. Anyway, wait for a second. So, as Belle and also Lily are basically getting ready for, for the whole, like, war game, Belle would say, anyway, Lily, I'm gonna be getting some sleep now, okay? As she would say, good night, as Belle, and also, and Lily would basically leave, as Hestia would say, alright, good night, both of you. As she would say, I hope we at least win. I just hope we win, she would basically say. So, as the day approaches, they would basically wake up, and it's finally time for the war game. Wait for a second. As it's finally time for the war game. So, as both Belle and also, Lily, and finally Vitas would basically leave, she would also leave, specifically Hestia, to the realm of the gods, as several of the gods would be there, all of them sweating bullets because they already know what is gonna happen. Except for, a certain goddess, aka, except for, Aphysis. Aphysis would be there just like, saying to herself, yep, Bella's definitely gonna beat his ass. Oh god, she would basically just sigh, as all of the gods currently are just like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. As currently with, Orion, I think his name was like, wait for a second, let me just... Uranus would basically tell everybody to just like, behave, as currently with, Apollo would just be confident knowing that knowing that he's going to win. But deep inside, he's just going like, why did I challenge him? He would basically start yelling to himself, saying, oh god, oh god, oh god, why did I challenge him? He would basically start saying to himself, saying, why did I challenge him? Why? He would basically start telling him to himself, as he would say, alright, I'm probably gonna win, maybe, but I don't have any chances of winning from him. Like, there's no way. He would basically start saying to himself, I'm doomed. He would say, like, out of breath. As currently with some of the gods would just like, would still be there just like sweating their, asses off, knowing that they're, Bella's going to win, obviously, because after seeing a little demonstration last time, yeah. And currently with Freya. Freya would be there just like, seeing all of this, as she would think, I mean, they are right. As she would basically start, going into, into her, like, I guess you could say, like, crystal ball, at least I think so. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I actually watched the anime. So, I think it was an actual crystal ball, or just uses her eyes to just, like, look into Belle. Or at least, Belle's, not really peripheral vision, peripheral, god damn it, peripheral vision, and basically, just see him, and basically just, like, spy on him. She would basically, just, like, remember all the times that Belle basically beaten several monsters, thinking, yeah, he's certainly strong, but there's probably no way that I'm going to, get him into my side, especially with her. She would basically look at Hephaestus, I should say, oh well, she would basically say, out of breath, as currently, as Belle, Belle, Vita, and also Lily would be there, basically waiting for the time of the war game, as everybody is basically ready. So, as the gods would just be there, just like waiting for the actual game, and apparently, the game is going to be like a, capture the flag type thing, or at least, the castle battle thing, just like in the anime. As everybody's basically waiting, Belle would just be there with the rest of his team, as Belle would basically summon the pirate ship. As for, Vita's would summon a unicorn. And the reason why she has a unicorn is because, why not? As her mount. And finally, for, Lily, well, Lily doesn't really have any, any particular, mounts. So she would basically ride on, right on top of, the unicorn right next to not Lily, I meant, on Vita's. Sorry about that, god dang it. So, as Vita's would basically start to go towards, not really go towards, more like, tells the unicorn to basically gallop, maybe like a few meters away, as Belle would basically go into the pirate ship, and would basically start flying off, as the war game would begin, as several soldiers, or at least, several, members of the, Apollo familia would be there, and seeing them basically, going towards them, as one of them would think, huh, really? As, one of them would say this, yeah, really? Are they really going to beat us just because they have, firepower or whatever? Huh, there's only just 3 of them. We'll easily beat them. As one of the members would say, yep, I'm out of here. He would basically start to run away, as one of them would say this. Wait, where are you going? As he would say, I'm running off, I'm smart. As he would basically start running off, as he would say, yeah, coward. As one of them would say, guys, as one of them would basically start pointing at Belle, as all of them would look over and see a ton of Sharknadoes and also a ton of swords basically floating, as Belle is basically wielding up, the zenith. As Belle would say this. You'll say. You would basically say that with a Russian accent. As everybody would just be shitting in their pants at this point. All of them would say, oh shit, we're running. As all of them would start to run, except for, a few, which they were brave, but dumb. As so, they would basically charge forward, but let's just say they're going bye-bye. Let's just say their asses were grass, and let's just say they're about to get mowed. So, as they're basically, crying out in pain, getting slashed by, several of the swords, being knocked away by several of the Sharknadoes, sharks, and so the sharks would start biting their limbs off. Several of the gods were pretty much impressed, but also terrified seeing this. Currently with, Hestia. Hestia's just there, just thinking in her mind, yeah, we're definitely gonna become famous. As currently with, Aphysis would say, that's my boyfriend for you, she would basically say to herself, as all the gods would just look at her as, some of the gods would not, some gods were basically not there at the party, so after hearing this, they would basically go wait, what? As currently with, Apollo, Apollo would just think, yep, we're doomed. He would basically start crying in the corner. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. As, Apollo is basically crying in the corner saying, yep, we're fucking doomed. Why did I do this? He would basically start to cry to himself. So, as, for Belle is currently, terrorizing the entire place. As, Hyacinthus would basically see this as he would say, what the hell? Why are we losing? As one of them specifically named Daphne would say, I told you, you absolute idiot. Why did you even challenge him? As he would say, shut up. We're gonna beat him. And there's no way that he's... As you would basically hear the screams of several of the, of his fellow Familia members. As he would say, what the? As Belle would basically rush in. As, following behind him was, Vita and also, wait for a second, Vita and Lily, as Belle would say this. So, you must be the captain of the, the Apollo Familia, eh? As he would say, hey, what are you here, and how did you defeat all of them? As Belle would say this, well, isn't that obvious? As Daphne would basically rush in, basically wielding, I think she was a sword wielder? It's been a long time since they actually seen Season 2, so... As she would say, don't you dare try and hurt us. I mean, how are you even defeating us? And as Belle would say this, well, isn't that obvious? I'm quite powerful. And I'm not really cocky either, so... As Belle would say this, I think it's time for you to pay. Especially you, Hyacinthus. As his sword would basically split into many swords, as Daphne would be easily beaten, including, I can't remember her name. It was the, the shy one, the one that, nobody believes. The one that literally has the ability to, perceive prophecies, but nobody believes her. And by the way, she's actually based off mythology, and that's actually pretty true. In mythology, apparently she's sort of, how do I say this? Yeah, she sort of has this, problem with, Apollo, and because of Apollo, basically, cursing her, or at least I think so, she, was never believed to have, have probable prophecies, but either way, she was also beaten. As Hyacinthus would say this, how did you, as he would basically rush towards him, as Belle would basically be shielded. Thanks to, the help of, a paladin's shield, which is basically mixed in with his, armor. As Hyacinthus would basically say, Hyacinthus would basically say, what in the, how did you, as Belle would say this, how did I what? You don't have the right to say anything else. After all, you basically sent those stupid rumors. As he would say this, I don't know what you're talking about. As he would say, oh, don't you lie to me. Or should I just tell Or should I just let you suffer first? And then, you have to tell me everything. As he would snap his fingers. As several, and I mean several more swords of, what is that called? As several, Prisma, I meant, let me just, Terra Prisma swords would basically appear, as Bo would say this, now, Blade Storm. As he would basically snap his fingers once again, as several of the swords would basically start slicing through him, causing him to be ripped apart, as some of his limbs would basically be flown away, mostly his arms and legs, as he was just left as his torso. Everybody was horrified. Currently outside of the arena, several of the people there were basically just like terrified seeing this, as Bell would start beating on him, letting him bleed out, but not too much, so he decided to, put, bandages and, soaking them in, healing, how do I say this? Yeah, healing, what is that called again? Greater healing potions. And thanks to this, they were healed and no longer bleeding, but he still beats on him, punching him, as he would basically start stabbing him and stabbing him, before, just like healing him once again and beating him once again, as, Hyacinthus is currently crying out in pain, saying, "Stop! Stop!" As Bao would say this, "Then tell everybody what you did." As he would say this, "Fine, fine!" As after, saying this to everybody, everybody was just like shocked and also disgusted. Some of the members of the Loki Familia would hear this and they were disgusted, including Bet. Bet, even though he hated Bell, absolutely hates people like that. So he absolutely hated the Apollo Familia. Apollo Familia, especially Hyacinthus, for basically doing that dirty trick. And as for, what's her face? Yeah. And as for a certain, goddess, aka, wait for a second, aka, Belle's girlfriend, aka, what's her face? God dang. Hephaestus would actually, it was her first time actually hearing this rumor, as she was also pissed off and, glares at, Apollo, which Apollo would say, "It wasn't me, it was my, follower, and it wasn't my fault," and as everybody was just currently glaring at him. As, Ranos would just look at Bell, as he would say, "He's quite the interesting boy. As he would basically sigh, as, Uranus would say, "It seems that Bell Cornell and also approximation, the Hestia Familia has won this war game. So, Apollo, as for your, punishment," as, Apollo was just shaking in his boots saying, as currently with, a certain, short stack would say, "How about your punishment? Your punishment will be, I don't know, maybe like, no longer being allowed to go back into the human world. And not only that, your entire Familia fortune, or at least your entire, building, will be ours." As, Apollo would be screaming, saying, "No!" So, yeah. So, thanks to this, the Apollo Familia has been disbanded. And as for Hyacinthus, yeah, he's pretty much a vegetable. Yeah, he's pretty much traumatized to the point that he's no longer able to talk. As Hyacinthus was just thinking in his mind, "Why I lost? Why did I lost? Why did I lost? Why did I lost?" He would basically start muttering to himself, saying that, as Bao would say this, "Pathetic." As Bao would basically kick him in the face, ruining his, not really beautiful face. It's more like an ugly one to me. So, after doing that, Bell would basically move towards his, to his members of his familia would basically, both of them would say, "Hey, Bell, we should probably leave." As Bell would say this, "Yeah, agreed." So, as both of them leave, the arena, they would basically leave, going back into, I guess you could say like, Terraria itself. Because that place was pretty far away from Terraria. Thanks to, I think it was teleportation. It's been a long time since I actually seen Season 2, okay? So, after that, all of them would basically leave, as several of the people there would basically celebrate their, victory. But some of them would think, yeah, it was pretty obvious that Belle and also Hestia family would obviously won. Wait for a second. So, as everybody is basically celebrating, Belle would see Hestia as she would say, "We actually won! And by the way, Belle, it seems that we actually got a brand new home." As Belle would say this, "A new home?" As she would say, "Yep, and it seems that we're gonna be, having a mansion all to ourselves." As Belle would say this. "So we actually got the Apollo Familia mansion then?" As she would say this. "Yep, and it seems that the Apollo Familia has been disbanded." As Belle would say this. "Good riddance, in my opinion." He would basically say, "Sorry about that, guys." So, after, Belle says that, all of them would basically leave back home and would decide to go to the, Apollo Familia mansion later. Or at least tomorrow. And so, all of them would fall to sleep. So, this is going to be the end of this episode. And so, I hope you liked the video, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!